San Diego Comic-Con has come and gone, and with it came a whole lot of trailers, posters, and teasers. Yeah, we'll get to you in a sec. Well, some of those trailers were better received than others. Alright, 1 second here, let me finish my introduction. With the absence of Marvel at San Diego Comic-Con 2018, WB and DC truly seized the opportunity to showcase the future of the worlds of DC. We got an ambitious Aquaman trailer, a surprisingly charming Shazam trailer,
You're dead.
and a trailer for the upcoming DC Universe exclusive show, Titans. Alright, I guess we can't avoid it any longer. Titans has struck a nerve among the DC fandom. Criticism has been swift and harsh.
I don't even know what to say because it's just so bad looking.
The big question is, why? What exactly has caused such an immediate reaction from the fan base? And more importantly, can the perceived issues in the trailer be addressed in a way that would satisfy fans before the show's launch? So before we dive into where the Titans trailer seems to be going wrong, let's acknowledge that there are people out there who really like the trailer and found the dark, gritty aesthetic pretty interesting. It's finally something different for the fans when it comes to Teen Titans. This video doesn't serve to prove or disprove either side as being right or wrong, but instead serves to more clearly define the problematic aspects of the trailer based on the information that we've been given so far. So, if you like the Titans trailer, that's great. If you don't like the trailer, that's totally fine too. Seem fair? Sound good? Okay, let's get into it. Damn it, Robin. Titans is based off the long-running DC comic book called Teen Titans. The show features Hawk and Dove, Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire, and Robin, among others. Over the years, Teen Titans has taken on many iterations. It has been turned into multiple shows and even a feature-length animated film. We're talking properties like the original Teen Titans animated series, Teen Titans Go, Young Justice to a certain extent, Teen Titans Go to the movies, and now the new DC Universe show, Titans. All of these shows were released at different times with different creators at the helm of each project, and all have distinct tones and styles. With that being said, Titans has a pretty tough task ahead to try and bring all these characters to life with real flesh and blood actors. Attempting to please all generations of Teen Titans fans with one show was just simply not gonna happen. So, instead of taking the safe bet and creating another iteration of Teen Titans that is essentially all ages friendly like pretty much all other iterations of the team on TV and film, they took a very different approach. That. And that. You see, this version of Teen Titans is pretty unprecedented. These characters are supposed to be teenagers or young adults that want to run missions without older heroes in the DC universe breathing down their necks. It's a way for characters like Robin and Starfire to find themselves, to find who they truly are, and help people along the way. They are, after all, superheroes. The problem with the Titans trailer seems to be that it largely ignores this core concept of what the Teen Titans are. I mean, it looks like Robin is straight up murdering people here. Necks are being broken, windpipes are being crushed, guns are being fired, and throats are being slit. Anyways, you get it.
When there's trouble, you know who to call. Teen Titans.
It's jarring to see what is supposed to be Dick Grayson, aka the Boy Wonder, acting so brutal. And there's a line that all of the internet is still freaking out about. That right there, that is a pretty weird choice. Bold, but weird. And I think that's the core issue that we're dealing with here. People are not recognizing this portrayal of the Teen Titans as being accurate. It is not a familiar sight to see Dick Grayson brutally attacking criminals with no remorse, or to see Dove smashing someone's face so hard that it explodes into blood. The tone of Titans just does not seem right at the moment. And on top of it, some of the show's costumes and special effects look pretty rough. But let's take a pause here. A lot of the aesthetic problems with the show are totally fixable. And shows like The Flash on the CW network have been skimming by with some pretty rough CG for years now. The reason why a show like The Flash works so well with audiences is because of the characters in the show and how they're faithfully portrayed. Audiences feel like they automatically know Barry Allen and the rest of Team Flash, or even Team Arrow for that matter. That familiarity comes from legacy, a legacy that the CW has found a way to honor, while also not being afraid to heavily adapt characters and plotlines for TV. So with that idea of legacy fresh in our minds, let's start with the biggest point of contention when it comes to the Titans trailer, Robin. This version of Robin is clearly not working with Batman anymore. At this point in the show, Dick Grayson is no longer a child, and him and Bruce are definitely on the outs. While the concept of Dick and Bruce not seeing eye to eye is well established in DC Comics canon, it's not usually approached in such an angsty and violent way. On top of that, Dick Grayson is usually perceived as a fun-loving, confident, charming guy. So him saying "F*** Batman" seems to be very out of place. While Dick and Bruce see eye to eye less and less as Dick grows older, there's almost always a sense of mutual respect between the two. Dick is literally Bruce's adopted son. There's a clear father-son dynamic between the two that serves to deepen their characters. If you take away that emotional connection, it makes them less relatable. Then we get to Robin beating the living shit out of goons in an alleyway. He's clearly using deadly force here, which is a big no-no when it comes to Dick Grayson's code of conduct. He was trained by Batman after all, and Batman does not kill. Seeing Dick act this way makes Robin seem like a villain, honestly. Plain and simple. And hey, maybe this is the intention of the trailer, to question the concept of what a hero really is. This idea has certainly been brought up in the comics many times before. If you take a look at Nightwing Volume 2, number 118, Nightwing does slash a criminal's throat, only to be revealed later that it was actually Jason Todd, rather than Dick Grayson. While this kind of switcheroo doesn't seem to be the case in the Titans trailer, it's the kind of energy that Dick is radiating now. Dick does seem to be taking on some characteristics from Jason Todd. And that could totally work, if the Titans version of Robin were actually Jason Todd. But it's not. In fact, Jason Todd exists in DC Comics as a kind of worst-case scenario, for the concept of Batman taking on a young Ward and throwing him into the dark underbelly of Gotham's crime underworld. Jason Todd, the second Robin, was famously murdered with a crowbar by the Joker, blown up, resurrected from the dead, initially hates Batman upon his return, and starts murdering Gotham's criminals using the name The Red Hood, a name that is believed to be the original alter ego of the Joker. It's an insane concept, and Jason's return from the dead storyline works so well because it serves as a cautionary tale for anyone thinking about working with Batman and taking on Gotham's criminals. There are real risks, and things could go horribly wrong at any moment. That being said, there are moments in Dick Grayson's history where things get very dark and violent. Look no further than the recent relaunch of the Nightwing title during DC's New 52 event from a few years ago. In case you're unfamiliar, Nightwing is a name that Dick Grayson goes by after he fully decides to part ways with Batman and make a name for himself. Now there are one-off exceptions like in Joker's Last Laugh, where Dick kills the Joker after thinking that he murdered a fellow Robin, Tim Drake. But this serves as an exception to the rule. That's why the story exists outside of the normal DC continuity. If this were to be the norm for Robin, then it would essentially break the character. That's why when Jason comes back to Gotham after being resurrected, he goes by the name Red Hood. If he were to simply show back up in Gotham, call himself Robin, then start murdering people, the mantle of Robin would be permanently damaged, and made to stand for something else entirely other than how the pop culture zeitgeist currently thinks of the character. That being said, Jeff Johns, Titans co-writer and unaging DC Comics legend, has confirmed that Jason Todd will in fact play a role in Titans. So maybe this trailer is cut in a way that misdirects the viewer, and all of the hardcore close-up violence is actually Jason Todd? Probably not. It honestly doesn't seem like that's the case in the trailer, but it is possible. We would be glad to have Titans make us eat our words here. Okay, we've got Robin covered here more or less, so let's switch gears and talk about Raven. Now Raven actually seems to fit the tone of the show best. She is a very dark and angsty character through and through. She's an empath, I mean she can feel other people's feelings, and she spent her childhood being raised by an abusive demon, so you can kind of understand her tendency toward fear and rage. New Teen Titans Volume 2 number 1 explores her past with Trigon, her abusive father. But more importantly, it showcases what a tight-knit family unit the Teen Titans are, and how they're willing to set aside differences to understand each other. The father-daughter bond, or maybe even uncle-niece bond since Dick isn't that old, that seems to be emerging between Robin and Raven in the trailer actually exemplifies this, and gives us hope that there will be some nice emotional potential in the show. Hopefully the episodes themselves will focus more on the dynamics of broken individuals coming together rather than concentrating on the shock value of young adults being as violent and traumatized as possible. Alright, moving past the characterization of Raven in the Titans trailer, which seems to be on the right track, what she's given to do in the trailer is, well, concerning. The way her powers are being used does not look good. Now, these effects could be far from finished, but we have to judge them based on their current level of completion, and it's not great. Essentially, every shot of Raven delivering a line in the Titans trailer is paired with a shot of her either curled up in a ball on the floor, or screaming, or looking sad, or screaming so hard she breaks the literal fourth wall of the trailer? Okay, seriously, what is going on here? This is so confusing and unneeded that we're questioning why that last effect was even tacked onto the end of the trailer to begin with. When you compound that glass-breaking effect with the last shot of the trailer, looking like basically a special effects demo reel, things are not off to a great start for Raven. Okay, so let's keep going here. Robin and Raven seem to be the core of the show, but there are still a few other characters that we haven't touched on much yet, namely Hawk and Dove, Beast Boy, and Starfire. Alright, let's take a break here. So Starfire we're not going to get too much into here, due to the horrible racist backlash that the actress playing her received, forcing her to disable the comments on her Instagram account. We will say that this character design is wildly different from what comic book fans are used to seeing. And she's on screen so quickly that we can't really judge this portrayal of the character based on what we've seen. This could be a really fresh take on Starfire, but we simply can't draw any conclusions based on the information that we have right now. So let's move on to Beast Boy. Whew, this is tough. I mean, he's a furry little guy that shapeshifts. That's pretty darn hard to translate to live action. While Beast Boy does look pretty dang comic book accurate, this might be a case of too comic book accurate. His bright green skin and fuzzy hair reminds us of the X-Men First Class portrayal of Beast. The look was on the right track, but wasn't totally there, and was later heavily adjusted for the film's sequel, X-Men Days of Future Past. They then took this character design adjustment even further, and rather cheaply, by giving Hank a serum that returns his physical appearance to normal whenever he wants. Now while that gets around this silly looking makeup for a large chunk of the movie, this isn't really how Beast's powers work, and is not something we want to see for Beast Boy. Maybe there's going to be some sort of CGI over his face to complete the look, or they could take the super bright green skin way down with color grading for the final look of the show. But for now, sadly, Beast Boy just looks kinda cheap. And we only have this trailer to go on, so there's not much context here for the character design choice, other than, well, that's roughly how he looks in the comics. That lack of context in the Titans trailer will keep coming back up, so remember that. Okay, so that leaves everyone's favorite superhero couple, Hawk and Dove. These characters are also given very little screen time in the trailer. So again, we can only push ahead based on the information that we've already received. And what we know is that the characters will be, well, brooding and violent. Yay? Okay, so Hawk and Dove are smaller characters in the DC universe compared to an iconic character like Robin. But they do still bring something to the table. In this case, it's their character designs, which have also received plenty of criticism. But honestly, the designs look the most cohesive, and unlike this shot of Robin that's photoshopped to oblivion, you can clearly see that a good amount of thought was placed in making the pair look cohesive and realistic. The problem is, if you don't like this look, then you have nothing else to fall back on when it comes to hoping for more from these characters in the show. These two literally do not say anything in the trailer. They just brutalize some goons and move on. Once again, we're lacking context here. And that gives the viewer of the trailer nothing to go on other than this weird shot of Dove smashing someone's face until this obviously digital blood squib appears, seemingly out of nowhere. Again, this is kinda odd.
My mom says there's no such thing as monsters.
I used to think that. I was wrong.
Whew, so. That is a lot to overcome for Titans, and these hurdles are nothing new for the show. Titans has been in some form of development ever since 2014, and is bounced around TV networks like TNT and possibly even the CW. That is until TV Line reported in 2016 that TNT president Kevin Riley said, "It is still not in development. We just decided it wasn't quite where we wanted to go." Again, this is not good news for the show. It wasn't until 3 years after the show began development in 2017 that DC announced their streaming service, now dubbed DC Universe, would be the final home of Titans. That brings us to now, in what seemed like WB and DC doing some sort of damage control after the Titans trailer dropped at San Diego Comic-Con. Jeff Johns did offer some hope though, clarifying the complexity and tone of the show with Polygon. He said, "The trailer shows a piece of the tone of the show. The show is not all that, but it does make you go, why is he saying F Batman? If you look at when Robin first left Batman in the comics, there was a lot of uneasiness in him being lost. Titans is really a series about these different characters that are all lost in their lives. Just like the greatest comic book Titans run ever by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, it's all about these lost characters finding one another. And they're all struggling with something, and Robin is clearly struggling with his past with Batman. And we'll learn a lot more about it, and what that is, and why he is the way he is. Really, the DNA of it is in the echo of the original series, because it had so much drama in that, and it was so revolutionary for its time. We really wanted to lean into the idea that every Titan of these Titans is a doorway to another genre. With Rachel, aka Raven, it's the supernatural and the horror, and the first season really focuses on who Raven is, and how the Titans galvanize around her. You can see that tone in the trailer clearly. So, do John's comments give you hope for Titans? It does seem like he has a clear direction of where the show is going, which is very reassuring. And if anyone understands what makes DC characters tick, it's Jeff frickin' Johns. So maybe this is simply a bad trailer with some rushed special effects and some disparate scenes sprinkled throughout. Like we discussed earlier, that seems to be the big problem. There's not much context. So lines that are perceived as heavy-handed or brooding or violent and shocking might make sense within the context of the show, but right now we have little to go on other than this problematic trailer. At the moment though, the optics of Titans is not great, and WB/DC really have their work cut out for them. Let's just hope that the folks over at DC are able to pull this one off and shut all those naysayers down.